Hey, what's up everyone, and in today's video we're going to be talking about some major updates regarding 28 Years Later. So the article we're looking at is from IndieWire, and the headline states, "It's time for Ralph Fiennes' third Oscar nomination, the actor on Conclave playing Odysseus in Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later." In the article, Fiennes states, "It's 3 films of which 2 have been shot. Britain is 28 years into this terrible plague of infected people who are violent, rabid humans with a few pockets of uninfected communities, and it centers on a young boy who wants to find a doctor to help his dying mother. He leads his mother through this beautiful northern English terrain, but of course around them hiding in the forests and hills and woods are the infected. But he finds a doctor who is a man we might think is going to be weird and odd, but actually is a force for good." So thanks to Ralph Fiennes, we have a little bit more information on 28 Years Later than we previously did. So right now we know that the first 2 films that are planned for this trilogy are done filming, and then we also know a little bit about what the plot of the first movie is going to be about. Basically, it's going to be about how 28 years later Britain is still facing this plague of zombies and how the majority of the country is overrun by them, but there are these small communities of people who are not infected still trying to survive. And the main story is going to focus on this boy and his mother in their journey to find a doctor through this zombie-infested wilderness. And in the article, Ralph Fiennes lets us know that he's going to be playing the doctor who the boy and the mother are going to be looking for. He's going to be this doctor who we initially think is going to be a bit weird or odd, but is actually a force for good. So that's pretty much all the new information that we have from this article. Right now, I believe 28 Years Later has a scheduled release date for June 2025. One other thing that I thought was interesting about 28 Years Later that I wanted to mention was the budget. I couldn't believe the budget for this movie when I first saw it. The budget is $75 million. That is more than 3 times the budget for 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later combined. And comparing that budget to the budget of a more modern, recent zombie movie that pretty much received universal acclaim, Train to Busan had an $8.5 million budget. So imagine Train to Busan, but $75 million. I'm not comparing 28 Days Later to Train to Busan by any means, because I know they're 2 totally different things. But it just amazes me what they were able to do with Train to Busan with $8.5 million. Imagine what they can do with 28 Years Later with a $75 million budget. That just blows my mind. But yeah, it goes without saying that 28 Years Later is going to be my most anticipated movie for 2025. 28 Days Later is easily one of my favorite zombie movies of all time. Easily in my top 5 zombie movies. 28 Weeks Later is not as good as 28 Days Later in my opinion, but it still has a great story, still has great characters, great acting, better production value than the first one definitely, but in my opinion the lesser production value or lower production in the first one is kind of what gives it its charm in my opinion, but that's just me. So that's pretty much all that I have for you today. What do you think about the new 28 Years Later updates in the article? Just let me know what you think down in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.